Ronnie Mentor, who is the leader of Freedom Unshackled, and she's going to tell you a little bit about what we've been doing and who we are.
Woo.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Thank you all for coming out. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. So, the reason why we're all here is because we all understand, either in the jail, or maybe some of us don't understand, but in the jail and on the streets, there's an issue with Albany County Sheriff's Department. And it started out with the Freedom Unshackled Coalition receiving a phone call in January from a mother who was frantic about a brutal beating that her son received in the jail, to the point that they fractured his eye socket and his ribs and several injuries to his person. 2 weeks later, or a week later, we received a call from a wife, almost the same story. Two separate men who don't know each other, who were brutally beaten at Albany County Correctional Facility. So initially, because Sheriff Apple has this way of saying, if there's a problem, just call me. And I had, his cell number and his office number. I reached out to him. They sent an inspector. The inspector kept saying, this is not happening out of jail. We would know, and went back and forth, and then we just kept getting more and more reports. At the same time, we didn't know the Center of Law and Justice were getting similar reports, right? Now, full disclosure, I'm formerly incarcerated, and I had the misfortune of being in Albany County Correctional Facility once upon a time. And there's nothing to brag about, but I've been in several county and city correctional facilities, right? And by far, the worst of them is Albany County Correctional Facility. Everybody screams about closed Rikers, and I say over and over and over again, closed Rikers, I need to be talking about closed Albany County Correctional Facility. We're talking bugs in the showers, little maggot things, birds flying around in tears, dropping feces all over the place. Of course, the rodents are out of control. Things dripping from the side of the cells, like some kind of fluid that puts like a brownish thing on the side of the cells where we're actually sleeping. They had a dog program there, a puppy program, and they, on the 6th West, they would put the trays underneath the bay, but the dogs were running around the bay, so the dogs would be licking the trays and things like that. That's that part of it. I have watched them beat so many women at Albany County Correctional Facility. This is nothing someone told me. This is what I've seen. I've watched this one officer, her name is Ann, she laid in wait for anybody to do the slightest thing to harm their bodies. I watched them beat a girl so bad, clear mental health issues. She was on the ground, they had her down, and they were macing her, and they were pepper spraying her. We were all choking on ourselves. So that's that. I saw that. But that was years ago. That was about 6-7 years ago. What I started hearing in January triggered me as a formerly incarcerated person. It was something normally Freedom Unshackled didn't really do. We're more policy and dealing with the legislature. But this is something we couldn't ignore. And so we asked other organizations to come with us and join us around figuring out what's going on at Albany County Correctional Facility. So we called on the Center of Law and Justice, the NAACP, We Are Revolutionary at First, and Capital Area Urban League, Bridge the Gap, New York State Council of Churches, New York State Jails of Justice, A Village, and True Heart.
100 Black Men.
100 black men. Okay, it's a lot. But we came together for one single goal, is to say that there needs to be civilian oversight at Albany County Correctional Facility. The jail can no longer investigate themselves. The things that were happening, the lies that were being told by the inspectors back and forth, it was just ridiculous. And we realized that Sheriff Apple and Superintendent Lyons had no intention on trying to fix a serious problem. And so they kept denying that anything was happening like that in their jail. Until one weekend, a young kid by the name of Marquise Norwood posted a Facebook video showing the brutal beating that he received at Albany County Correctional Facility. Now, I don't know if any of you have heard of what happened to Robert Brooks, or if you saw the news and you saw the videos. When I saw what they did to Marquise, I was so shook, because I said, this guy was one punch away from being Robert Brooks. He was one kick away from being my Messiah, who died across the street from the prison that Robert Brooks, well, not died, he was murdered across the street from the prison Robert Brooks was murdered at. So I want to say to all of you right now that the video that we're about to show might be triggering. Marquise wants people to see this video, but this is the video of the brutal beating of Marquise Norwood at Albany County Correctional Facility, and you will hear Marquise narrating this video himself. So if anybody needs to step away because you might be triggered behind this, please do so now. Please. Then we're going to talk about it on the other side.
You see that how they ready to push me into the locker? Those who's watching this video, this happened on 9/25/2024, where I was assaulted by Albany County Correctional Facilities and Sergeant. I've done nothing wrong. I didn't verbally assault them. I didn't physically assault them. They wanted the sneakers off my feet. I was trying to explain to them what was the reason of taking my sneakers, and that's when they attacked me.
Sorry.
For no reason.
Pause it.
I'm trying.
Yeah, for a moment.
Sorry about that. Not sure what's wrong.
It will be in that thing.
Could somebody
Push that.
grab
Push that. Just turn it back on. This.
What, library stuff?
Yeah, just push that again. Turn it off and turn it right back.
Sorry about that.
Don't be sorry about technical difficulties. And please, if you didn't get food, please get food. All right, we're gonna, as they're working on that, we're kind of gonna pivot into a little bit of conversation. We have some representatives from our community coalition that is working together in the leadership of Freedom Unshackled. So I want to call up Tayshawn Murdoch. Okay.
Let's go with
You want to do Reverend Jim? Okay. I'm going to call up Reverend Jim. And then hopefully this will be working. Thank you for your patience.
Of course, they called me up right after I took a bite of cookie. I'm glad you could be here tonight. I represent the New York State Council of Churches. I serve on the board, and my specialty for them is following criminal justice reform issues and bills in the state legislature. And surprise, surprise, there's been a lot of them this year. Not that the problems just started this year. I also work part-time to help screen chaplains who wish to work for the Department of Corrections. We're here because we believe as people of faith in forgiveness, in redemption, in atonement. We're here because we know that people can and do change for the better all the time. I've known people that have served 25, 30 years in state prison that came out with a GED, an associate's degree, a bachelor's, and a Master of Divinity. Unfortunately, none of those programs are running right now because of the shortage of prison corrections officers. Our other point is that nobody deserves to be beaten, ever, ever, ever. That is an inappropriate use of state power. It should never be sanctioned or condoned. It must stop. We have a prison system that focuses entirely on punishing people in every little way you can imagine. Some of you know this better than I do. It's just punishment after punishment, arbitrary decisions, taking away rights and privileges. Thank you.
That ain't right.
It's not right. It's not right. So, that's why the New York State Council of Churches was happy to join forces with Ronnie and the other folks in this coalition to see if we can't bring a little redemption to the Albany County Jail. Thanks for being here.
Okay, so we just gonna
We'll
pick
go
back
on it a
up.
little bit.
So I the lights.
And that's when they attack me for no reason.
Wait, I'm gonna take it back just a little bit. I'm sorry.
From there, I went to the emergency room, take my sneakers, and that's where I was trying to explain to them what was the reason to take my sneakers, and that's when they attacked me for no reason. From there, I went to the emergency room, where I went to the Albany Medical Center after that on a stretcher, where they found out that my whole right side of my orbital wall was fractured. You see him stepping on me?
6 officers so far. Keep count.
I now have a lawsuit pending against Albany County Correctional Facility. See him punching and shit? Look at him back in that corner.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12,
13. 14.
The black guy, he said,
I have proof paperwork, medical records, medical records stating how his boot marks loaded all over my body. And you could clearly see them jumping on my body up and down. My name is Marquise Norwood, and I was physically assaulted. And this is what goes on daily in the Albany County Correctional Facility.
This was from a fixed camera in the locker room.
The world will know what happened on 9/25/2024. From there, they continually kept punching me. The sergeant in the back, who you see on the right-hand side, all the way in the corner, kept stomping my head. Then they pepper sprayed me. You'll notice that the officers will come out coughing, such as the sergeant right there with the bald head. You can see in the right-hand corner how you keep continuing jumping up and down. There, I believe I'm being handcuffed.
Okay.
And shackled. They then start punching me in my ribs. But you can see they put up a wall against the camera so they can block all view. This is what they do. They had their foot on my neck. And he was stomping on my skull. This is where they lift me up. This is where they started kicking me. I fell unconscious at this moment right here. They're coughing because they pepper sprayed me. They sprayed it in my mouth so I couldn't breathe. They wanted to kill me. They just watching me laying there, thinking I was faking, I couldn't get up. I was unconscious. You can see me, they lift me up. Put me against the locker, they scared my head. You see them kneeing me? This is where I was unconscious. I couldn't walk. See my arm bleeding?
Somebody get
This is what they done to me. They will pay.
So, guess I want to just ask, is everybody okay? I'm just doing a check-in. wanna know if there's anybody that's not all right, please let us know so we can talk or whatever we need to do to make sure you're okay before you leave here. The culture of corrections is violent. The culture of corrections is built, its foundation dates back to the time of enslaved Black people. The culture of corrections is nothing more, and at its core, evil. Even those officers who walked away are still culpable because they didn't stop it. They didn't stand in the gap and say, what are you doing? Don't do this. Everybody who was in that hall is guilty of attempted murder, gang violence.
Right. Yep.
Now imagine if we did this. If flip the chairs, Mr. Harris always points out, they put up a blue wall to start blocking the camera from seeing what else they were doing to that man. Marquise's home, I believe the only reason he probably has this video because he does have an attorney and he would have loved to have come speak, but he can't speak right now. But he did give permission. He wants people to know and see what they did to him. Those exact injuries that he described in his videos is the exact injuries, case after case after case of people we have talked to. And it's almost as if they target these men's heads just to beat the heads because each one of them have fractures in their orbital lobe, all of them. So, I just want to say that Marquise Norwood was almost a Robert Brooks and a Messiah Nawati. And if we don't start holding Sheriff Apple, Superintendent Lyons, and the Albany County Legislature accountable, we're on a fast track to a Robert Brooks at Albany County Correctional Facility. And make no mistake, it's not just the men they're beating. They are beating the women like that too. They are viciously beating the women like that too. So, anybody has
think that they think they have the right to do this to our kids.
because they always felt that way.
Yeah.
They're just a little bit more emboldened now
Yeah.
because of the current administration,
Yeah.
but this is, right? We've been talking about it for years, but now the body cams and this and that, and people are starting to speak out more, so it's being more put out in everybody's face now. But this is nothing new. This is just racism, because all we are hearing about really are black men and women who are getting beat like this, right? This is something that is very steeped in racism, and it is very steeped in just hatred and evilness. There's nothing else to say about why they're doing this. They're doing it because instead of having care, custody, control, that the one thing that they like out of the 3 C's that's supposed to govern correctional officers is the control piece. Right? That's the one thing. Because they are in control is the way they operate. Yeah.
My son name is Williamson. My name is Alexis Williamson. And I'm a leader here in this community. And about 3 years back in 2023, my son had his face fractured by another inmate at Albany County, which they took him to the hospital. But when they took him to the hospital, they were supposed to give him his medicine, get him to a surgeon. They didn't do any of that stuff. And so my son right now has a lawsuit against the county of Albany. So my son is a heroin addict, and he has been delivered. And so we know when our young people go into these prisons, and we know that when they see them one way, even though they're on the road of recovery, they still see them as what they see them as. So, for myself, kind of angry right now because my son was on probation, felony probation, and he had a violation. And he had to go back before the judge. I can't help that we raised our son a certain way, but things happen in the midst of him growing up and he decided to go another way. And I can't help that he has two parents. And it might not, everybody might not have two parents that are there for them. I do not uphold him in his wrong, but I am saying today, because of what we do in the community and where God is getting ready to take us at this time, my son he had to go back to court 2 weeks ago. And when he went back to court 2 weeks ago, he was on his way back to court 2 weeks ago. He went to the store. And then before, half an hour before he was due to go to court, my son went to the store and they said that he robbed a store. 2 hours, half an hour before he got ready to go before the judge. 4 bags of chips. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think because it's a lot that's going on, and I think it's a setup. And I had to sit in the courtroom just 2 days ago, and I had to see this judge that she knew she wasn't going to give my son drug court in the first place. She knew she wasn't. And like I said, I'm not upholding him if he's wrong in this. But I just don't believe my son went to a store half an hour before he was going to court to steal a bag of chips. And now he's back out to Albany County where his face got fractured. And every time my son is there, I have panic attacks because I'm scared. And he called me 2 days ago because another kid was beat. And he said, Mom, they don't have cameras back in the back. They have no cameras. So that's why I showed up today, because I believe that something needs to be done. I have a cousin that used to work there. And she said, you know what, if you need me, I'm here to speak out. Because she used to work up in it. And she knew, she seen what was going on. And she said, Alexis, you're wicked.
Thank you. I wanted to just also point out that another reason why we all came together is because once these individuals are brutalized in the jail, they're denying them legal visits. What they're doing is they're telling their attorneys, when attorneys come to see them, that they are refusing legal visits. We brought this to the sheriff's attention. Sheriff Apple said to us, oh, that's no problem. I'll put a number on a document and we'll get the document going. Well, I thought about it overnight. I called the sheriff's, I emailed the sheriff's attorney, counsel for the sheriff's office the next day, and I said, listen, it's one thing for the sheriff to put a number on a document, but he needs to make that a directive. He needs to make the district attorney aware, legal aid aware, and private attorneys aware that this document exists. About an hour later, email came back, said the sheriff's not gonna do that. So I said to him, I said, that means that this document is discretionary. That means it means nothing. You just put a number on a piece of paper, and they can still beat the hell out of someone and then say to the attorneys that they are refusing your visit. The incidences that we got the calls about, each one of them, their attorneys were not able to see them. They did not give those guys the tablets that they have in there. And someone's here today that's gonna speak to some of it. In retaliation to stuff, they're putting them on abandoned tiers. Tiers that have not been used within 10 years, that are filled with rodent feces, maggots, and all kinds of things. And so, to speak a little bit about that, I'm gonna ask Timothy Hall, are you still here? Can you please just talk to the people and tell them what's going on with you? Everyone, please, with grace, this is Timothy Hall.
Thank you, Dr. As you said, my name is Timothy Hall. I'm a formerly incarcerated individual, and unfortunately, I have the misfortune of having to turn myself in to Albany County Jail every Monday for a weekend sentence. I have to do 6 months of weekends, but I do it on Monday and I get out on Wednesdays because I'm a single dad and my children come home on the weekends, the actual weekends. I didn't want to lose my custody, so I advocated for myself, and the judge listened to me, and he allowed me to do my weekends on Monday from 6 p.m., and I get released on Wednesday at 10 a.m. It's horrible. It's horrible. To state the least, it's horrible. Since I've been there, what I have in my hand right here is a supporting deposition. With the supporting deposition is for the Office of Professional Standards, and it's against one of the Albany County Correctional COs. They were placing me on an abandoned tier called 6 East. This tier had no running water, it had no operating phones, it had no, I was not able to contact nobody. I was just down there with the officers. It was just one officer and me. It's very terrifying to state the least. However, I know how to keep myself quiet, I know how to stay low, and I just know how to just mind my business. I put my blinders on for a few hours and I just go about my business. So there was one officer, he was allowing me to watch TV. He turned the TV on, he was very cool about it. He turned the TV on, he would leave it on all night. So one particular night, I think it was April 28th, an officer came through and he unplugged the television. Me being used to watching television, I took note of it. I said, oh, you guys are turning the television off tonight. And he lost his mind. He looked at me, he said, you weakened your bitch. Do you think you're special because you have weekends, he said. I said, no, why are you talking to me like that? He said, shut up. I will pepper spray you. I will run your head across every bar in here. And he said, then I will pad this logbook and drag you out in a body bag. Now, you know, when people speak, you can feel their conviction. His next words were very alarming. He said, I've done it before, I'm a professional. I said, you won't do it to me. I stood up, I put my sneakers on. I told him, if you open that gate, you have to have a valid reason. I have 22 years of incarceration, and unfortunately, I said, I know the rules. You can't open that gate. He said, we're gonna come in here and kill you. I said, no, you're not. I'm not gonna let that happen. Not tonight, you're not. You got the right one tonight, I told him. So I just stood by the gate. Eventually, I laid down, I went to bed. I acted like I was asleep. I put a towel on my head. I just watched him all night. He was smoking something out the window. He was sniffing something in the back. And he was walking around all night. And I just watched him. The next morning I woke. I started doing push-ups on the floor. 6 East has a gate around it. It's a bay, open bay area. He walked up to the gate and kicked me through the gate. I stood up. I said, can I get your name and badge number? He wouldn't give it to me. The same sergeant that was in that locker room right there with that young man, I filed a complaint with him. His name is Lieutenant Poole. It's all on this piece of paper right here. But they made me file the complaint with the Albany County Sheriff. I haven't heard nothing back. Every time I go in there, I'm verbally assaulted. Just this past Monday, I went in with pre-existing wounds from a bike accident. And I have a piece of paper back there where they said, you have to go see medical, because they made me sign a paper saying they were pre-existing. I had no problem with that. I'm not trying to give no false accusations out. I go to medical. She says, I'm not seeing you. You're only here for 2 days. I said, I need bacitration for these wounds. I don't want them to get all messed up. She said, I'm not seeing you. You're only here for 2 days, you weakened your bitch. Her name is Janelle. Yesterday, as I left, There's an officer, they have the officers of Comstock there now. They've gotten rid of the rules from the residency rules, so those guys can transfer down from Comstock and they can work at Albany County Jail now. I can tell the difference between them and the Albany County Jail officers. So yesterday as I left, I asked for a bus pass. Can I get a bus pass so I can make it home? See, not getting nothing, you weekend your bitch. I told him, you're gonna give me a pass. I need a pass. He said, you're not getting a pass. He looked at one of the regular sheriffs, he said, does he get a pass? They said, yes, he gets a pass. He took the pass and he threw it on the floor. And he told me, I'm gonna be here next week when you come back. I'm gonna have something waiting for you. I deal with this on a regular basis when I go in there for those 2 days. I'm tired of it, but I'm also afraid because I know they could put charges on me like they did her son, Miss Winston's son. So, you know, you have a fight or fight button. I believe I can fight, but you cannot fight 30 correctional officers. You see that? I go in that locker room every Monday. In that same locker room one day, I walked out. Routine is you grab your bedroll. For some reason, I went to grab it, and they pushed my head into a wall. They said, we didn't tell you to do this, but you told me to do it each and every time I've been here. This time I went to do it, they said, we didn't tell you to do it, and they pushed my head into a wall. It's on camera. All of that's on camera down there. Just the other day, I went in there was a young man, he told the officers, he invited the officers to his private park. That's supposed to be the utmost disrespect. You know what they did? They packed him up. They moved him to the old side, and they let inmates pound him out. I think that's what she was talking about. It just happened 2 days ago. I'm witnessing these things every week. I see these things. Every week they verbally assault me. I have to be there perpetually in order to get some form of respect, but that's not even gonna, nobody gets respect from those officers. They're there to hurt. That's all they do. When I go there, I have no access to mental health, no access to AA. My probation requires me to do so. I said, let me do something edifying while I'm here. Shut up, you're only here for 2 days. They don't give me no clothes, they don't give me no hygiene. I'm lucky to get a phone call from Ronnie. That's my only saving grace. That Ronnie's gonna call me on Wednesday to let me know I'm okay. No weekend program, I said. No respect. I'm glad I got to share this with you guys because I don't know what he has waiting for me when I go in Monday. But I know he said he's gonna be there waiting for me. And I'm gonna go.
So, thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Very much.
As he stated, I do. He goes in on Mondays. Monday night, I kind of scheduled a visit. We did work something else out with the phone, just so I can check on him on Tuesdays. Because the more we tried to help him from one thing to the next, and every time someone would call the sheriff and say, well, this is happening, that's happening, his situation got worse and worse and worse. So we stopped calling the sheriff and we just said, okay, we'll just check on you, see what's going on. Because if I set that visit up or am I expecting his call and it doesn't happen, and this is crazy that it has to be like that, right? He finishes his sentence in August, and until August, between myself and Reverend Jim, we're gonna make sure he's okay from Monday to Wednesday when he gets out. And that's what we have to do. But that's just one person, right? That's just one person. And I, for one, am sick of hearing the accolades that Sheriff Apple is getting about the shelter with, you know, that's another conversation of putting homeless people out of the jail there. But on that side where he's getting all these accolades, on the other side of the building is complete hell. And so, you know, again, we put on your chairs and we handed out flyers because very suspiciously, they're now having a public forum next week on the 18th. We have been trying to get something like this. We've been trying to have conversations. We've been calling the county legislature. We've been showing up at the county legislature at their public forums. We've been asking and asking and asking for a civilian oversight review board. We have sent emails to the chair of the Black Caucus, Carolyn McLaughlin. We have sent emails to Joanne Cunningham, who's the head of the legislature, and no one yet has responded. We did get one generic response from the attorney saying that they're looking into things. We have been sending complaint after complaint since January. And now, after this, next week, they're having something on June 18th. We really encourage everyone to show up on June 18th because they need to hear from us. The sheriff needs to hear from us and say, why don't you have a civilian oversight review board? What are you doing to start a civilian oversight review board? I'm sorry, go ahead, Marina.
Yeah. Can I address? Yeah, I'm part of Freedom of Chapel, my name is Marina, and one of the things that we've noticed is that the Albany legislature does not seem to have a vested interest in establishing the Community Oversight Review Board. No matter how much we appeal to them, talk to them, explain things to them, we don't feel there's any kind of compelling interest. And it's really, really problematic because we've also met with Sheriff Apple. And Sheriff Apple, you know, acts like a really nice guy, but you can tell it's performative. You can tell that he doesn't have any great desire to make any changes. One of the things that he said that I still can't get over was he said that sometimes there's a scuffle and an incarcerated person, and I think he used the word inmate, which is the wrong thing to say, an incarcerated person will, in the scuffle, will hit the ground. So he was saying that everybody that gets beat up by a CO, it's because the floor did it. He took no culpability, he took no responsibility. It's just, and Lyons just is like worthless. He is just angry at all of us that have tried to be activists on this. If somebody goes to jail or goes to prison, if they're incarcerated, you know, we could talk a lot about the carceral system and how messed up it is. But let's just assume for a minute, just for the conversation, that it's an okay system, which we all know it isn't. But let's just make believe it's okay. So you go in, you're supposed to serve your time. Well, if you're serving your time, isn't that paying your debt to society? That should be it. End of story. And people shouldn't be beaten up, being threatened, being told you're going to come out in a body bag. That causes, when people come out, PTSD, people never recover from this. It's not just getting out in one piece, meaning alive. You don't recover. So the reason I'm saying all this is not only is it important that you come next week, but we also need your help to show up at the Albany County Legislature and really demand that they have, because they have the funds, they're the ones that would fund it, that they fund a civilian oversight review board. We need all of you. Please help us.
Thank you so much. And so we're gonna segue, and I think that we kind of already did that naturally because these things are happening in Albany County Correctional Facility, but there's also happening in our streets. They're also happening every day in our streets, right? And we have some people to contest to that and to speak to that. If you don't know, my name is Eva Bass. I am the executive director for A Village, community advocacy organization, as well as the CEO of Bridge the Gap. And my one purpose is to make sure we amplify the voices of our community, that we have to stand up, that we have to come out, regardless if you want to write it on a piece of paper, regardless if you want to speak out, regardless if you want to confide in somebody. We really need our voices because they're really trying to play in our face. With that said, I want to call up Tayshawn Murdoch from Center for Law and Justice.
How's everybody doing? Okay. So first, she mentioned probation, so I just want to talk about that for a second. Because I think people need to understand the severity of probation too. When you hear somebody say that they either have been violated or their probation officer is showing up randomly at their house when unexpected or adding extra things to their probation that isn't supposed to be added, it is very true. I have somebody right now that is dealing with probation, federal and local, and they're having issues. So they're violating people easily, and then they're ending up back in Albany County Correctional Facility on purpose. And so that just should tell you how severe this is. People who are coming out of prison, who are supposed to be rehabilitated, are ending up back in the system, only to almost not make it home. And it's severe, and it's not just one person, it's not just two, it's multitudes of folks. My end from the center, we are concerned about the Albany County Sheriff's Office in the community. You may or may not have heard, but they are aggressively targeting specific areas in the city of Albany. We are aware that they're targeting Central Ave over through West Hill and Arbor Hill, and then the South End. I'll give you an example. One day they pulled somebody over in the front of our office. How many officers do you think they had there? They had, it was one person in one vehicle. They had 5 cars and 15 sheriff's deputies. Wow. For one individual. Then we got sent another video where the individuals were pulled out of their vehicle, but not to be pulled over to the sidewalk to have a conversation, but only for a wrestling to ensue in the middle of Central Ave. Anybody know where the beauty supply part is, where people be double parked? That's where we're talking about. And they're wrestling with this individual in the middle of the street, all for the purpose of a simple traffic stop. Okay? You say, okay, well, Tayshawn, that's simple, that's easy. I'll give you another one. I'm on the Albany County Planning Board. One of my board members was 30 minutes late. You say, okay, well, was he in a car accident? Nope. He was stopped by Albany County Sheriff's Office. He was stopped by Albany County Sheriff's Office to do the same thing that they have been doing, which is to pull individuals out of their vehicle with no reason and for an argument or a fight to ensue, to only arrest the individual so that they can end up in Albany County Correctional Facility.
That's DWB.
Yep. So then he gave me an example. He said, hey, you know, this is not just happening to me. I had to stand and watch somebody else a couple weeks ago who they were gonna pull out of the vehicle. The person refused, and if I wasn't standing there with my camera, that person would have been pulled out and probably beat up or whatever the case may be. So the situation is severe. I've spoken to the sheriff himself. I've also spoken to the chief as well. And our concern is twofold. The number one is that when we spoke to the sheriff and I said, Sheriff, you need to make people aware of what you're doing within the city, right? The sheriff said, well, do we? He said, we're out at community events and we're at this and we're at that. And I said, that sounds nice, but when we're talking about the communities in which you're now policing, you need to make people aware of what you're doing. I also want to make it very clear, just in case people are unaware of what we're talking about with the sheriff's office. We're talking about specific units that they utilize to target areas where predominantly people of color reside and or live. This is a specific unit that is targeting individuals in these communities. And if you look at the videos, if you stand outside and you watch them, if you see them, it's the same 5 or 6 officers in the same vehicles that go from the South End to West Hill, Arbor Hill, and track people all over.
Don't forget their drones. They got drones hovering above the streets. I've seen them.
Yep. So, and I mean, that's a good point. And so when we ask the sheriff's office to connect with individuals to make sure that people, one, see who the officers are, tell them your name, right? I just watched a video a couple weeks ago. Somebody got pulled over, and the deputy wouldn't give his name. He said, "You don't need my name." But why not? If you're doing everything that you're supposed to be doing, you have no problem. You can give the name, right? And so you know, that's the biggest piece we want everybody to be aware of, that this is a specialized unit that they're utilizing. And people need to understand that these units do not work. They're actually known for discrimination, and they are known to kill.
It was treated as a tactical force.
Yep.
Like in bounty hunters.
Yep. So we have gotten multiple complaints, and it really has not stopped. It continues. So we just encourage. The biggest thing I encourage, and this is what I'll tell people, and I'll end on this. First of all, I don't like any politicians. I think they all lie.
Only when their mouth is moving.
Right? And so that's no disrespect to people who run for office. I'm just being honest. We see it every day. Politicians make commitments and then they don't show up or they don't answer phone calls. Politicians are also tired of nonprofit speaking. Let me say that one more time for the choir and the people in the back.
Right.
Nonprofits no longer have the legs to argue back and forth with politicians, local leaders, because they are tired of us speaking. They are used to it. They go back to their office and they say, all right, Tayshaun said what he said, but he's been saying that for 5 years. He's been saying that for 10 years. Dr. Green was saying it for 40 years. So we don't have to talk about it, right? But the problem is that we don't have the community to back us up and to support us and to show up and to be active and to be engaged. And so I encourage you, not only for you to show up, but for the next person next to you, somebody that won't show up, that won't say anything, because we are the people that voice the people that are not.
I 100% agree. We're gonna segue,
I gotta say something about that, please, because this is what pisses me off, and I be at that Capitol a whole lot. I do a lot, trust me, but I stay under the radar. Y'all always say that you need people to show up. How about y'all going out into the community? Those were the grassroots days. Don't talk about people don't show up because everybody doesn't know. You gotta reach out in that community also, just like they're going out, you need to get out.
So I agree with you, and I'll tell you that you're absolutely right. But here's the thing that I'm encouraging you to do, is I'm encouraging you to talk to those families that are intimidated by correctional officers in the sheriff's office who don't have the courage to speak out. Those are the people that we need to be standing with us.
But it's better
No,
if they hear from the
hear me out.
groups.
Hear me out. No, I'm telling you,
But we are
somebody
here
that hears you and has people that are with you, go to the Capitol with you. I'm just telling you from our experience that the public officials are no longer listening. I walked into a public official's office and explained
But
all
I'm
of
not
this.
talking about them, I'm talking about come out to the community.
I agree with that.
I'm tired of people saying this, and this pisses me off.
Well,
Because this is when I go back and talk to people in my community, but where are y'all at? Because they say, oh, shit, they not there, and they just like the politicians, come out when they want to vote.
I heard you.
I just want to say something to that point with Tayshaun, because I personally call people, explain the situation to them, explain why they needed to be here, because they were impacted by the correctional officers or the sheriffs on the street. I spoke to them. So I gave that education and I talked to them about why their voice needed to be here right now tonight. And they aren't here. So you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. So it's not that we're not out there telling people and educating, not just me, everybody here. We are putting the word out. We're letting people know, but they have to show up. So here we are standing in the gap, but I hope all of you show up.
And I'm telling you what I hear, and I'm talking.
I appreciate that. I don't want you
They
to feel
saying,
like I'm-
where are they? People are looking for Jesus, but they know the Messiah coming, but he's not here. So you gotta go out to them like he went out to the world and spoke to people.
And we also have to remember another thing too. We have a couple of moving parts in this. We have the sheriff's office, which we were talking about, the jail and the streets. We have the county legislature, but we also have faces on that video, clear, that have not been charged. So we're also talking about the district attorney's office. Because why haven't those officers been charged with assault and gang violence? It's very concerning why the district attorney's office, maybe there's something happening that we all don't know about, but maybe they need to say that. Maybe they need to say, we are looking into this, we are investigating this, we're doing something. But again, crickets. We have sent emails to every one of those that I've talked about. All the legislatures, the district attorney's office, and the sheriff. So go ahead, Deshaun. I'm sorry.
The county executive.
We did send a letter to Dan.
So Nicole, I'm sorry, what's your name? I'm sorry, what's your name? Ma'am, that's just speaking.
Oh, Peace Queen Alice.
Oh, you said Queen Alice?
Peace Queen Alice.
Peace Queen Alice, thank you so much. And I do understand your frustration, right? However, there are a lot of grassroots organizations who are outside. Not saying that it's enough, right? We struggle with manpower, we struggle with funding, we struggle with time. There's over 100 and something thousand people in the city of Albany, right? So there has been conversation, there has been street outreach, there has been door to door, there has been social media. We need more, and that's what we're saying. We have to come together and unite as a community to band together to amplify our voices, and the strength is in numbers.
But I'll say this to you, because I hear what you're saying. I'm going to tell you right now, I work in the center, and I feel like the center isn't out there enough.
Yeah, Alice used to come out.
And I hear you, and so I feel you, and I just had this conversation with somebody the other day, and I said to them, my goal for the center is that we do need to be out there, and we do need to be more active. I agree with you, but I think that with that, it also takes the other side. Because I can come out, and I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm going to use her for an example. She came to my office, but sometimes my hands are locked. I get people that call me all the time. I see people on the street, and they're like, yo, I got a loved one that's incarcerated. I can talk to you on the street, and I can have a conversation all day long. But if the system is locked, and we are not together as one, then you can come to my office all day, and I can come to you all day. But my hands at some point are tied. And so that's all I'm saying. But I hear you.
Unity in numbers. I'm a baby of the 60s, so.
And I grew up in a political
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
We know that change doesn't happen until people like me start showing up. We know this. Because they're purposely keeping you exhausted. They're purposely taking your sons and your husbands off the streets, and they're keeping you scared and tired until people like me notice and say something. And I hate that that's how it is. But people that look like me stay in their neighborhoods, and they vote for the sheriffs, and they vote for the councilmen, and they want things to stay as they are, so they are in the nice little bubble. And it's not until we are locked arms and moving together that change has ever happened historically.
Right.
I'm sorry. And I wish I knew how to come and get my people and shake them.
Right. Well, we appreciate you being
Well,
here.
hopefully you'll be there January 18th.
Right.
I mean, June 18th.
June 18th.
June 18th.
I will shoot, okay?
So with that said, you know, what it is that we have to come together. We have to understand our own positions, right? We all come from different positions in the community. We all have different influences. We live in different neighborhoods, right? Some of us have different privileges, right? A lot of us have a lot of disadvantages, right? We need to actually link arms. That's the power. The power is in the people, right? And so what I'm hearing is we need more conversation. We need more information. We need more outreach. We need more relationship building, right? More advocacy, right? And so with that, only way that can happen is us coming together. I know that 8 Village does a fish fry down in St. John's every 4th Friday, and we talk about these things. and we have a packed house. We have over 100 people show up every week, and it's getting more and more. Please come join us, right? We have night markets where it's not just a night market. We're talking about health equity issues. We're connecting community to positive solutions and resources, right? And we're out there doing street outreach and empowering community leaders, right? Through our Innovation Blocks program, right? And so as we're doing that with the current administration, I'm not just talking about the local, but the local is a problem too. I'm talking about the national leadership is choking us with funding and opportunities, right? And so instead of us pointing fingers, we need to say, you know what? How are we going to strategize, even though they're still trying to put their foot on our necks? Okay? And so Jackie and then gentleman in the back, and I know you, but I forgot your name. I see you all the time in the green shirt. So Jackie and then the gentleman in the back. You see yourself.
I wanted to say that we gotta pull together, like you were saying. We also gotta get our children to try to be better and to do different things. Because I know it starts, you may not believe this, it starts, let me come up here. It starts when there are babies that are divided. I lived in Florida and I worked at a hospital, and it was like different levels. Most mothers that was on Medicaid got Good Start. The next level of insurance got Infamil. The top one got Similac. Okay, so it starts there. Two, yeah, we live in a bad area, but we could do better things. Clean up in front of our house. You got a neighbor that work and their child is running wild, help them. Talk to the mother and say, hey, listen, I'll keep an eye on your child, because those are the kids, not all of them, but some of them, that feel like they wasn't shown no love, so they don't got no love for the neighborhood. Not just that, we gotta break up the monopoly in the jail system, because it's usually uncle, cousin, father, grandfather, kid that take over, and they are being taught a certain way. It goes back to slavery with us. They still see us as nothing, and it's sad to say, but a lot of us act like that, because again, they wasn't showing no love, so they don't got no love for nobody. We gotta start being the village and look out for each other. I'm not just saying blacks, I'm talking about black, whites, Puerto Rican, everybody. We are one race, the human race. We gotta tell our kids, hey, that test is coming up for correction officer. You can take that test. You only need a high school diploma. Our kids is not going out to that place to do that. We gotta tell them you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. And stop like bringing all different, I'm gonna say, energy around, because your kids only mimic what they see. So the majority of our kids see the drug dealers out there, so they want to be drug dealers because they got the money, they got the this.
Take your time, I'm so sorry.
Okay, you know, I hear everything she was saying, and we're going to keep the gentleman in the back, but I don't want to lose sight of why we're here. Okay, so no matter your social economic situation, no matter 2-parent, 1-parent, 3-parent, half a parent, they do not have the right to beat you in a correctional facility. They do not have the right to beat you in a correctional facility. And they need to be held accountable if they put their hands on you in a correctional facility. And we need you all to please show up June 18th at one Steuben Place. Everyone has the flyer, and you have more information on the back. It's going to be Sheriff Apple, District Attorney Lee, and Deshaun on a panel for community discussion, public safety. Yeah, we need to be there. We need to find out why Sheriff Apple, because he's upset that when we got more calls about abuse in the jail, and we went back to Albany County Legislator to say these things are happening, he stopped all communication with us. He told his attorney, no more talking to them. Why? Because we're making you not look so good? We're not giving you accolades anymore? Well, fix your jail. Put things in place. Tell them to stop beating the men and the women in Albany County Correctional Facility. Tell your deputies to stop snatching people out of their cars on the street in Albany. Stop it. So, you want to be mad and you don't want to have any more conversations with us. That's why you guys are here tonight talking to us. And that's why we need you on June 18th. Right. We also need you to call your individual legislatures, Albany County legislatures, and say you demand a civilian oversight review board. These are the things that we all can do. You can call your elected official and say, we need a civilian oversight review board. You can show up on June 18th. You can reach out to Freedom Unshackled Center, a village, or Bridge the Gap, or the NAACP, or the Urban League, Albany Urban League, and say, what else can we do? But we need you guys. We have been doing this, and we've been doing this since January, and it's gotten stressful. We thought we had some leeway in, but then next thing you know, because Sheriff Apple didn't like the way we presented him in his jail, he stopped communication with us. Straight like that. So please show up on June 18th. I believe it's at 6 p.m., but it's on the flyers that you have at one stupid place. Go ahead, hon. I'm sorry.
Is an elected official allowed to refuse to address the citizens that elected him?
Yeah. We were at a meeting with him, and then because we started getting more reports and nothing was being done, and we went back to the county legislature, he sent us an email the very next Monday, the very next day. They said, that's it, we're not meeting with you anymore.
He's allowed to do that.
Well, he did it.
Well, we got a whole, it's really about accountability right now. We have to make sure, and that's why we're here, and that's why we need to come together. It's about accountability. These are not made up stories, right? These are not fairy tales. These are not just an unction or a feeling that we want to attack the sheriff or just make noise, right? We have enough to make noise about. But this is something that's really happening. This is something that is not amplified enough. This is something that those who are victims of this kind of behavior are not comfortable with speaking up all the time. So we need to encourage them, create safe spaces. And so, yeah, I'm sorry, in the back with the green shirt, you wanted to say something? We kind of, thank you.
Yeah. Sometime after Easter, there was a meeting down at a building on Eagle Street, and it was a faith-based meeting. And they talked about this issue as well as many others. And I met this young woman who is the director of the faith-based and nonprofit office that's in Hochul's office. And Jim talked earlier, and he's from the New York State Council of Churches. The young lady that talked about getting in the community and trying to re-educate or give opportunities to the youth. I think that if congregations could expand their outreach to the children, that's a chance.
Right.
Secondly, from a political point of view, you mentioned about outreach and trying to get people together. Personally, I go to the house of the legislator and talk to that person at their house or give them a letter, a petition, but I would go to the house of the person. Some years ago, I was doing something pertaining to energy in Waterville, where I live. And the mayor called me up and said, could you come into the office? and he said he didn't like the idea that I was distributing literature, and that if I could wait until after the election, that maybe we could talk about it. Well, I didn't say anything, but what I did do was to get out of his office, get in my car, and go up to the street where he lives and pass out literature in his neighborhood.
Thank you.
I think that if you do that, in the sense of going to the legislator's home and saying, hey, listen, we have a problem in our neighborhood and we need your help.
Right. I agree 100%.
The Democratic Party around here used to have councilmen, and they used to have committeemen and ward leaders, and the party was effective, and they tried to do as best they can. It was corrupted to a certain extent, but people knew people.
Right. We have to
There is not any more of that community that the woman was talking about with regard to the children.
Yes, we do have to work on coming together. We have to work on all of that. No, thank you. And I know it's the sake of time. Go ahead.
So in closing, everyone, again, we want to thank everyone who came out. We want to just uplift all the organizations that are working with Freedom Unshackled. Again, we have the NAACP, the Albany Capital District, Albany Urban League. We have the 100 Black Men. We have the New York State Council of Churches. We have the New York State Jails Justice. We have a village. We have Bridge the Gap. We have True Heart. And if I've forgotten anyone, I don't think I did. Thank you in all ways. We have support from the men and women over at Releasing Aging People in Prison. So we just want to say to you all, please show up June 18th. It is important. I mean, you saw for yourself what they're doing at the jail. And again, if anybody needs to talk about the video that you did see before you leave, please grab one of us and I'll be glad to. But thank you all for coming, and hopefully Reverend Jim has one more thing he wants to say.
Yeah, if you don't know who your county legislator is and what his office phone number is or her office phone number, go on the legislature's website and find out, or call the county.
It's better to go to the Board of Elections, Albany County Board of Elections website, because if you put in your address there, it will tell you your representative directly.
Yes.
If you go to
Good
the
point.
county legislature website, you kind of have to figure out where you live.
They have one list of what district this legislator is, and then another place you have to find out, well, where is that on the map?
Right, yeah. It's better to go to the county Board of
Look
Elections.
up the county board of elections, find out, write a letter, make a phone call to that person.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please look out for more opportunities to advance this conversation. We'll make sure that we'll be intentional with creating, platforms for us to continue talking. Make sure, please sign the fact sheet. If you want to be contacted, leave your phone number and your email. And thank you so much. We're in this fight together. Be blessed.
Thank you.